Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Layla, and in this video, I want to talk about why you're struggling to get out of debt. Whether you're new to my channel or you've been here for a few years, you would know that I am paying off debt. I've been on my debt-free journey for about 5 years now, and it's honestly been so long and exhausting, but I'm finally at that final stretch, and I'm very grateful to say that it did take me it's going to take me less than 5 years to be completely debt-free. But I remember when I first started, it was really difficult to start making any progress on my debt. And I've also worked with a lot of people who have a hard time paying off their debt for various reasons. So I've come up with a list of a few reasons why it's so difficult for most people to get out of debt. And I want to run through these and what to do about them. So let's go ahead and get into these tips, but I do want to start by saying that I've added a new product to my Etsy shop. I will be showing it in this video and a little bit of how to use it, but if you're interested, if you're doing the debt Snowball or the debt Avalanche and you have, still some time to go with paying off your debt, I definitely recommend this spreadsheet for you, and it will be linked down below. But I will show you a little sneak peek of that new product in this video. All right, so the first reason that you may be having a tough time getting out of debt is because your emergency fund is too small. Now, if you're following Dave Ramsey's plan, he says to have $1,000 and then move on to your debt. Personally, I don't think $1,000 is enough. Some people may feel that that's okay and they can go on with their life, and that's fine if that's working for you. But I know from my own experience and from what I've seen with other people is that if they have a small emergency fund and something pops up, they go into even further debt, and then it makes it even harder to dig out of that hole. The other day, I actually saw someone's video, a finance YouTuber. She had said how she does not have an emergency fund anymore because the idea of an emergency fund attracts an emergency to her. At least that's the way she sees it. And that's completely valid. I'm not knocking her whatsoever. And I could understand how, I could see how that is true for a lot of people. But you don't necessarily have to call your savings an emergency fund. Like, you could just call it your savings if you wanted to, if you are afraid of attracting said emergency to you. But personally, I just sleep so much better at night knowing that I have a few grand saved up just in case I need it. And no, there's probably not going to be a time in your life, or not very many times in your life, that you're going to need several $1,000s immediately. But for certain situations, it is important to have higher savings so that if something comes up, you don't have to go into debt and start all over or be in a worse spot than you were. So if you have children, if anything comes up with children, that could potentially be thousands of dollars. So I do think your emergency fund should be a little bit higher. If you own a house, if something happens to your house, that could be a huge expense. And you may have to go into debt for that, even if you have an emergency fund. But I do think you should have a larger one if you have a house. If you're in a job that is not very stable, as in you potentially could be laid off soon and it would be difficult for you to find another job, again, another reason to have a larger emergency fund. And then also, if anybody else is dependent on you, so if anybody else depends on your money, could be your parents, grandparents, or I don't know what the situation could be. But if it's not just you, if you are not just responsible for yourself, I do suggest having a larger emergency fund. That way, if something pops up and you got to replace all 4 tires on your car, or you have to replace the refrigerator or something, you have that covered and you can still pay off your debt within the next month. You can still make progress on your debt or not go into further debt. Reason number 2 is if you're only paying the minimum payments on your debts. Because if you're making only minimum payments, you are going to pay a lot of money for the lifetime of that loan. And this is where I want to show y'all my new little spreadsheet. Okay, now I'm going to pop up on the screen my new spreadsheet. This is for you to track your debt payoff. You can predict how soon you can pay off your debt, whether you're following the debt Snowball or the debt Avalanche, and you can keep track of everything in real time or make predictions about how soon or how long it's going to take you to pay off your debt. So if you actually purchase this on Etsy, I have a whole video, I have a whole PDF on how to use this and what everything would mean here, but I'm just gonna show you some examples of what I mean by if you only pay the minimum payment. So I am starting this in March 2023, that's when I'm filming this, so I'm gonna just put that example. And I had already entered some data, but I'm gonna go ahead and actually take out this second credit card that I put in here so I can show you what things would look like with just a single credit card and if you only made the minimum payments. So if you have this one credit card and the starting balance, you're starting in March 2023 and it's $3,000, the minimum payment is $75. I'm just making these numbers up. The interest rate is 24%. This is actually the average interest rate in America right now, the average credit card interest rate, which is very, very high. Then this is going to take you 78 months to pay off. So as you're filling in the spreadsheet, you can literally input all of your debts, up to 15 debts, and you'll see 15 years of data, and it will tell you how long each debt will take you to pay off. And this is assuming you're just putting $75 each month. Now, if we start adding in, what you can do over here is put extra payments each month, and you can do this in real time. So you'll go through an update at the end of every single month, but you can also make predictions. So obviously 78 months is a very long time. That's gonna take you all the way down to August 2029. So years and years from now. So let's see what it would look like if we make an extra $25 payment for the rest of 2023 alone. Before I change anything though, I do wanna point out that you start out at $3,000, but after all the interest, after 78 months of making payments, you're actually gonna pay over $5,800 because that's how much interest is going to accrue on this balance. So if you put in $25 for the rest of 2023, let's see how the numbers change. And now, instead of those 78 months, 79 months, I can't even remember what it was, you're gonna have 66 months instead, and you're gonna pay a little bit less altogether. And then let's say in 2024, you can start making a little bit extra of payments. So I'm gonna put $100 for all of 2024. Now you can see, instead that's going to take you 35 months, so half the time, more than half the time, and $4,000. So an increase of about $1,000 in interest. So of course you kind of get the idea here. So obviously the more money that you put to your debt every single month, the faster you're going to pay it off and the less that you're going to pay in interest. Now, I think things get interesting when you add in another debt, because what this tracker is doing is rolling things into the next debt. So if you have a $75 minimum payment and then you completely finish paying off that first debt, the idea with the debt Snowball or the debt Avalanche is to roll it into the next debt that you have, so then you can make even faster progress. So this second credit card that I added back in is $2,500 starting in March 2023, $50 minimum payment, and 17% interest rate. Now, same thing as before, the credit card number one will take 78 months to pay off if you don't make any extra payments. Credit card number two will take 81 months. So you'll have both of these paid off within 81 months, which is quite a long time. For the purposes of showing how this spreadsheet works, I will plug in some higher numbers. So let's say for March, you're able to do 25 extra. But let's say in April, you get your tax refund of, it's like $2,000 or so. So now you can see you've made a lot of progress. You've significantly cut down how long it's going to take you to pay on this first credit card. Now it says 16 months, and you can continue to make an extra payment each month, whatever that amount may be. So that could be the $25 or $100, and you'll see it's going to keep speeding it up. And now what's going to happen is you'll pay this off in 14 months. So by the time we get to April 2024, that debt is going to be paid off, and this $75 minimum payment is going to roll over into credit card number two. So you'll see for April 2024, you're putting extra to this credit card, and then the full amount of both of the minimum payments to the second credit card, and you'll be paying it off a lot faster. And then again, you can keep on going through and seeing how much extra, if you're making extra payments every month, how much faster you will pay off all of your debts. So yes, that's a very quick example of how that spreadsheet works, but also an example of how much longer it's going to take you to pay off your debt if you're only making the minimum payments and how much more interest you're going to pay. Right now, it may be difficult to come up with extra cash. You may be living paycheck to paycheck or going further into debt every month, so it is important to increase your income, sell things around your home, start a side hustle, get a second job, do what you need to do to be able to add a little bit extra each month, and you will progress much, much faster. Reason number 3 kind of goes along with what I just talked about, and that is your interest rate. So if you have a lot of credit card debt, you probably are paying a lot in interest. That may be your current situation, so there's nothing you can do immediately, but this is why I really like the debt avalanche plan, where you're paying the highest interest loan first and then going to the next highest interest loan, because you're going to pay off your debt faster and save a lot more money. I completely understand why people follow the debt snowball plan, but I think there's a lot of opportunity lost by choosing that plan over the debt avalanche. Either or, it's great that you're tackling your debt, but if you want to go faster, make more progress, I do suggest switching to the debt avalanche. So with that spreadsheet I just showed, you would be listing your debts from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, and you can see what's possible. Something else you can do, especially with your credit cards, is call the credit card company, ask if they are offering any lower rates at the moment, ask if you can get this lowered, and sometimes they will be able to offer you a promo or adjust it temporarily. Honestly, at the time of me filming this, that may be a little bit difficult just because of the state of the economy, but I know when I first started out and I had a lot of credit card debt, I called every single credit card and asked for a lower rate. I think I had like 4 or 5 at the time, and every single one except for one gave me a lower rate. So it is worth just at least asking. And with that, you would not only be saving money, but also saving some time. So it would help you to pay off your debt faster. Reason number 4 that you may be struggling to get out of debt is that you are impulse shopping. You may have a bit of a spending problem, and this can be hard to fix. I know that firsthand. I did have a spending problem, and that's part of the reason why I got into a lot of credit card debt. But there are a lot of things that you can do to get better about this. First of all, I do recommend limiting your time on social media or getting off of social media completely. I frequently get off of social media for chunks of time. So this year, I've actually been off of social media. So starting in 2023, I removed the apps from my phone. I have logged out on my computers. I don't get on. I talked about this in my low spend video, but being on social media, Instagram, TikTok, I would see things and want to buy them. And it was things that I would not see otherwise. It was things I did not need. It was things that were not a part of my daily life, but I would see them on social media and then get the desire to buy them, and I would just go and purchase them. Of course, spending on yourself is normal if you do that here and there. It's important to have a healthy relationship with money and spending, but I think so many people have gotten out of control. I mean, do you ever just sit there and think about all the things that you have purchased in your life, or even the things that you have purchased just in the last 6 months or the last year, and you're like, what did I buy that for? I don't even like that, or I don't wear that, I don't use that. How many things are just collecting dust in your home, and at the time you really, really wanted it, but then once you got it, that excitement wore off, and now it's just taking up space. It took money out of your life, and what was the point? So with impulse shopping and spending in general, I do think it will take some time to get better about it, but what you can do is sit on a purchase for some time. So maybe you can add it to your cart, or just have the idea of, okay, I do want to purchase this, but sit on that idea for a few days. So there is this idea of the 72-hour rule. So you can put something in your cart, and then 72 hours later, if you still really, really want it, then sure, go ahead. You gave yourself time to think about it, but definitely cut out that impulse buy, because you're probably going to spend and waste a lot of money that way. I suggest eliminating things like Amazon Prime, because with Amazon Prime, it's so easy to just buy something every single day. If you want it, you can get it, and you'll get free shipping, and it will be at your doorstep the next day. And to me, that is problematic. And 2, be sure to unsubscribe from all of those emails that are promoting sales or products that you love. They know what they are doing. There are expert marketers behind the screen telling you what's on sale, because they were able to see what you were previously looking for, what you've previously purchased, and they are trying to bring you back in to make a sale. So unsubscribe from those and you'll probably notice a big change. Those are my top recommendations, and you'll probably start to notice that you don't feel that desire as much to make these purchases, especially so quickly. And going along with that is number 5, keeping up with the Joneses. I'm gonna keep this one short because it's kind of the same idea, but what you're seeing out in the world, what you're seeing on social media, what you see in your friend group, what you may even see within your family is not always a true reality. So people buying a brand new car, people going on fancy vacations, they could be in so much debt and you would have no idea. There are people who are making well over 6 figures who are going into further debt each month or living paycheck to paycheck because they've inflated their lifestyle so much and they make it appear a certain way on the outside. But in their house, they're really stressed out and struggling with finances as well and debt as well. When it comes to your lifestyle, when it comes to your finances, just stay in your own lane. Do not believe everything that you see online. I know that y'all have heard this. This is another reason to get off of social media, because you start to question what you're doing wrong when that could be, their life is completely different. There are some people who truly live like that. They are very, very wealthy and they can afford those things and they're not in debt, and that's great. And you can work toward that if that's something that you want to do. But so many people are just flexing on the internet, and if you're trying to keep up with your neighbors, trying to keep up with people on the internet, you're definitely going to have a hard time getting out of debt and getting your finances in order. And the final thing that I want to mention, the final reason, is that you don't have the right influence around you or you lack support. So you may be somebody who is trying to get out of debt, but your parents or your partner or your friends don't understand why you're trying to do that. They may say, oh, debt is just a part of life. I've literally heard this from my own family members, like debt is just a thing. I've had debt my whole life. There could also be people in your life who don't have debt at all, or who they either don't have debt at all, so it's not a problem for them, or they are in debt and they don't see it as a problem, so they're not trying to do anything about it. So those may be the people who are pushing you to do things like, oh, let's go out, let's buy this, let's do that. And it's putting you in an uncomfortable spot because you're spending money on things you don't want to because you're trying to prioritize your debt and your finances. But this person may have the same situation, yet they're focused on just spending their money. So it can cause a lot of conflict. I definitely sympathize with that. I'm not saying to cut those people off, but it is okay to say no. It is okay to put boundaries in place and tell people that that is not in my budget right now. That is not aligned with my goals right now. And if they don't want to be in your life because you don't want to spend money on something that you don't want to spend money on, then I think personally that person is not a good fit for your life. I think having a support system while you're working on your finances is huge. If your partner, the person that you're married to, or just your long-term partner is not on board, then there's going to be tension, and I do suggest trying your best to get the other person on board. But for most people, you're not going to find the support that you're looking for. You're not going to be able to openly talk about your finances with the people close to you. This is why you come to YouTube and watch YouTube videos and listen to podcasts about finances. That's exactly what I did with everything. So even personal development, when I was younger, I would just constantly fill my head with positive content because I just wanted to surround myself with that energy, because most people around you don't emanate that. Same thing with finances. I do like to listen to a lot of financial content because I like to surround myself with that and remind myself as to why I'm doing this. And also that's why I created this community. I love this community because all of y'all are here supporting me, supporting each other, and we can just talk about finances. You guys watch me pay off my debt. I hear about your debt. It's incredible. Having a support system is huge, so it may not be direct support from people that are close to you, but definitely seek it. Definitely find a community that you can at least interact with or surround yourself with that information to motivate yourself and keep yourself on track. If you're struggling with paying off your debt and you're noticing that you're not making as much progress as you want to be or you feel like you should be, and you are struggling with any of these 6 reasons, it may take some time for you to fix each one. So, you could work on one area and then move on to the next, or you may not be able to fix everything that I have mentioned. But with time, if you keep working on all of this, you will notice a difference. Eventually you will become debt-free. You will be on the other side of things, but I know right now it may be difficult. And if you need help on your journey, so maybe you need to learn how to budget or need help with coming up with a plan or even just that piece of accountability, then definitely check out my one-on-one sessions. I do have spots open. And then if you're interested in tracking your debt and seeing what's possible with the debt snowball or the debt avalanche, definitely check out my Etsy shop for that new spreadsheet. If you have any questions, feel free to comment those down below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.